We're constantly hearing about the incredible leaps AI is making, right? But what if I told you that behind all the hype, even our most advanced models are about to hit a massive wall? Today, we're going to explore this hidden challenge that could stall AI progress and the breakthrough solution that might just be the key to everything.
We kind of assume AI's path to superintelligence is this straight, unstoppable climb. But what if it's not? What if the very fuel that's been powering these models, all that data they learn from, is actually leading them down a dead-end street?
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. For years, AI has been feasting on the entire public internet. But what happens when it's read everything? Maybe twice. Well, the models start learning from their own outputs, which creates this bizarre echo chamber that basically kills new learning. They just hit a wall.
And this brings us to a really fascinating paradox. We are generating more data than ever before, but for cutting-edge AI, just dumping in more of the same stuff isn't making them fundamentally smarter. It's kind of like trying to become a world-class chef by only reading the same cookbook over and over again. Yeah, you'll get really good at that one recipe, but you're never going to invent anything new.
So let's give this thing a name. The Great Data Wall. It's this invisible ceiling that our best AI models are starting to bump their heads against. It really represents the absolute limit of what you can learn from the huge, but ultimately finite and kind of repetitive pool of data on the public internet.
The perfect way to think about this is diminishing returns. The first time an AI reads all of Wikipedia, wow, it learns a ton. But the 100th time? Not so much. At that point, it's just reinforcing what it already knows. And, maybe even picking up all the errors and biases that are in there too.
And that leads us to the crucial difference between the old fuel and the new fuel. On one hand, you've got recycled internet data. Sure, there's a lot of it, but it's super general and often totally unverified. But the solution, this frontier data, is something else entirely. Just look at the keywords here: rare, domain-specific, and, this is the big one, human-validated. So we're not talking about just more data. It's a completely different class of information.
So here's the bottom line. This isn't some theoretical problem way off in the future. It's happening right now. The data wall is a very real barrier that the biggest AI labs in the world are scrambling to figure out how to break through.
But, every wall has a door. And in this case, the key is frontier data. This is where we stop talking about the problem and start getting into the really exciting stuff. This new source of knowledge that can give AI the novel insights it needs to keep getting better.
Okay, so what exactly is frontier data? Well, think of it as high-quality, specialized knowledge that you just can't scrape from a random website. It's the kind of information that comes directly from the minds of real experts. That deep, nuanced understanding that's the foundation of true expertise.
Let's make this real for a second. We're not talking about another cat video here. We are talking about data from sensors that track the super precise, tremor-free hand movements of a master surgeon, or the step-by-step logic a financial analyst uses to make a huge decision. This is the stuff that actually pushes human knowledge forward. All right, so we've got this incredibly valuable data. Awesome. But how do you capture it? How do you prove it's authentic and, pay the experts who gave it to you? That's where the next piece of this puzzle comes in. Creating a secure, verifiable, digital record of that knowledge. In other words, putting it on-chain.
It's a massive challenge, right? You can't just ask a scientist to, upload their brain. You need a whole system and infrastructure that can reliably turn human expertise into a format that an AI can actually learn from.
And here's what that process could look like. First, you capture the knowledge from the expert. Then, and this is so important, you verify and validate it to make sure it's accurate. Step 3 is where things get really interesting. That verified knowledge is turned into a unique digital asset on a secure ledger. This gives you a clear record of ownership, making sure the expert can get paid whenever their knowledge gets used. And finally, that high-quality, verified asset becomes premium fuel for the next wave of AI. That on-chain part is really the secret sauce here, because by creating a permanent, transparent, and verifiable record, you build a foundation of trust. You know exactly where the knowledge came from, you know it's been checked, and you can trace how it's being used. This completely solves that unverified problem we have with old internet data.
So what does this all add up to? Well, we're talking about a fundamental change in how we build intelligent systems. It's a move away from just quantity and a huge leap towards quality. And that shift doesn't just break through a wall, it unlocks a whole new future for AI.
If you take just one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. The race is no longer about who has the biggest pile of data. It's about who has the best, the most unique, and the most valuable data. The future really belongs to frontier data.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Just imagine an AI that doesn't just parrot what's already on the web, but instead learns directly from our top scientists, our best doctors, our most brilliant engineers and artists. What new medicines could we discover? What scientific breakthroughs could we speed up? I mean, the possibilities are just staggering to think about.